Hi, I'm Lance Henriksen. You're watching Brian Lomax's Movie Talk.
Hello and welcome to Brian Lomax's Movie Talk and this update video of my Blu Ray collection. I did a video just a little while back of all my Blu Rays, and I promised that I would keep updating on my Blu Ray collection as and when I got more Blu Rays. It was my birthday fairly recently, so a few people got me some and thought, I'll talk you through them. So first up is this rather lovely Steelbook of Man of Steel, which I think is an excellent movie, really underrated, probably one of the most underrated movies of all time. That probably sounds like a bold statement, but the more I watch this film, the better it gets. I think it's the best so far of the DC Extended Universe movies. Some people would probably say that's not hard, but I actually still really love Batman v Superman as well, especially the Ultimate Edition, which is why I bought that as well. I literally won't watch the theatrical version again. Now I'm someone who liked the theatrical version when it came out. I liked it a lot, in fact. But like the more criticism I heard and whatnot, I took some of that on board, and I do think some people had a point with some of the criticisms. Not all. I think people went a little bit overboard in their criticisms of the film. But the criticisms that they did have, with the exception of one, which is the creation of Doomsday, I think the Ultimate Cut kind of washes them away. I think it does a good job of saying, you know what, this is a really good film, really decent film. Still not quite as good as Man of Steel. I think it has more strands, shall we say, to have to deal with than Man of Steel did, so Man of Steel feels a bit more complete, I guess. Continuing with the DC theme, I got a whole bunch of the DC animated movie universe films, whatever that title is. First up is Gotham Knight, a film I got on DVD, but a friend of mine gave me this. He bought a box set that had a load of them on Blu Ray, this one that he already had, so he asked if I wanted it, and I said sure. I don't have it on Blu Ray. It's actually a pretty decent film as far as the animated movies go. It was one of the more earlier ones, and it was kind of sandwiched between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, or it may have been between The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, one of the two. But yeah, it's pretty decent. Christopher Nolan, I think, exec produced or something, had a say in it anyway. Next up is Assault on Arkham. Really good. Well, for the most part, I think the ending kind of lets it down a bit, but up until that point, this is the film that Suicide Squad should have been. I did feel let down by Suicide Squad. As I say, big fan of Batman v Superman and Man of Steel. Suicide Squad so far is the only misstep, as far as I'm concerned, in the DC Extended Universe. But this is a good way to go about it, I think. If Suicide Squad had been more like this, then I think there'd be less to criticise, put it that way. Justice League Throne of Atlantis, again, another film let down by the ending. The story explores Aquaman's origins and how he first comes about. And it's actually good. It's really well done. I like the main antagonist and the way that's kind of set up. But then his plan at the end just goes stupid. He attacks in a rather mundane way when he could literally wipe out the people that he's trying to attack with a big tidal wave. Instead, he steps out of that tidal wave and decides to go for a ground assault in which he can't win, or at least stands less chance of winning. It makes no sense. So yeah, it's still decent, but could have done with fixing that. Justice League versus the Teen Titans. Talked about this in my Letterboxd Sundays video a little while back, as I did with Throne of Atlantis, because I did watch these when I bought them. Yeah, I think that was the better of the two. Next up, we've got The Hurt Locker. Again, this is one that was given to me by a friend. He, for some reason, had 2 copies on Blu Ray and gave me this one. This is a film I've got on DVD, but not on Blu Ray. I'm very happy to have it on Blu Ray because it is an excellent film, directed by Catherine Bigelow. First female director to win Best Director at the Oscars, and deservedly so, I think. I think some people give this film a lot of flack, but it is a really good war film, very good action film, and Catherine Bigelow does an absolutely outstanding job of it. Next up is Night and Day, the extended cut. Got this really, really cheap from CEX, Entertainment Exchange. It was literally about £2, £2.50. So for a Blu-ray, a triple play edition, that is not a bad price at all. And again, another film that gets much maligned, I think. I don't think there's a right lot of love for this film, but I enjoy it. It's just a really good kind of switch your brain off and enjoy popcorn movie. It's not one of Tom Cruise's best, don't get me wrong, but I do enjoy it. It's just a bit of fun. Next up is Inglourious Basterds. This is one of Tarantino's best films, I think. I think Django Unchained is probably my favourite so far. But this, I think there's a good case to be made for this being his second best film. There's a moment of extreme violence in it that always makes my stomach churn when I watch it, and it kind of puts me off a little bit. But the rest of the film around that is, yeah, really, really outstanding. It's kind of like Jewish wish fulfillment, I guess, if you're Jewish and you have a bit of a violent streak and your mind is set on vengeance. It's, yeah, you know, it rewrites history, but I think it does it in an entertaining way that, as I say, it's meant as a bit of wish fulfillment. But really good film and cracking performances from the likes of Michael Fassbender, who only has a small role in it but makes an impact. Brad Pitt, and of course Christoph Waltz. Don't care for Eli Roth too much, and he's the character who basically, that scene I said I had a problem with, it's around his character, it revolves around his character. I don't like Eli Roth as a director, and I don't like him as an actor, but there you go. Next up is the director's cut of Kingdom of Heaven. This is one that I have on DVD, but because it's so long, they split the film into 2, so you have to change the disc halfway through, which is really annoying. It is a long film, but it is infinitely better than the theatrical cut. This is one that I will not watch the theatrical cut, because this one adds so much more. There's a whole storyline with Eva Green's character that was just cut from the film, and there's a whole fight scene between one of the main antagonists in the film. Again, just completely cut from the film. That character just disappears, kind of fizzles out. You expect a bigger conflict between him and the main character played by Orlando Bloom, but it doesn't come. He just disappears, which is disappointing. But they have a big showdown in this, which, yeah, really good film, really great film. With the exception of Orlando Bloom not being as charismatic as, say, Russell Crowe, I'd say it was on a par with Gladiator. You know, I guess if you'd cast someone else in that role, not that he does a bad job, don't get me wrong, but if you're going to call out one thing, I'd probably say it was that. You know, Orlando Bloom is no Russell Crowe. But other than that, really cracking film. Next up is Donnie Darko. Yeah, really great film. One of my favourite films of all time, actually. And one of the best directorial debuts of all time by Richard Kelly. A filmmaker who, yeah, has kind of dropped off the radar now. His 2 previous films didn't really get the kind of success that Donnie Darko had. They were critically panned in many ways. Although The Box is a really good film, I still love The Box. I think it's a fantastic film. And even Southland Tales has, you know, some merits, I think. But Donnie Darko is definitely the standout film of Richard Kelly's career. I just hope he gets back on the horse at some point. I hope he starts making films again. But yeah, I picked this up really cheap. This is the original version, not the director's cut. I think the original, this is one of those instances where the theatrical cut is actually better than the director's cut. So yeah, we're going to be doing a movie night commentary on this pretty shortly. So yeah, that's why I got it on Blu-ray. Next up is Jackie Brown. Yes, another Quentin Tarantino film. Again, picked this up very cheap, £3.50. I prefer this to both Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs. I think the story is better. It feels a bit more coherent to me than, say, certainly than Pulp Fiction, maybe not Reservoir Dogs, but it feels more coherent than Pulp Fiction and a bit more mature as well. I just feel like, I don't know, that it has more to say, I guess. Yeah, so yeah, and I love Michael Keaton in it, and his character pops up in Out of Sight, which is directed by Steven Soderbergh. So he pops up as the same character because it's based on a Elmore Leonard book, and yeah, it's really cool if you watch Out of Sight after seeing Jackie Brown, and then you see that character pop up. Yeah, so yeah, excellent. Next up is The Nice Guys. So far, still my favourite film of this year. Really loved this film. Great chemistry between Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling, and a fantastic script by Shane Black, who also directs. Yeah, you know, brilliant film. Really looking forward to seeing what Shane Black is going to do with his Predator film. But yeah, I love this. If you like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, you'll love this. It is in many ways the same film. But yeah, Shane Black just excels at doing the buddy cop style of movie. Obviously, this is the guy who wrote Lethal Weapon, the first two Lethal Weapons, and it shows. So yeah, next up is another director's cut. This is the director's cut of Last of the Mohicans. I don't think I've seen this before. I know I've seen the theatrical cut. I like the theatrical cut a lot, so I'm very intrigued to see what's been added and maybe what's been taken out. Obviously, this is more of Michael Mann's vision for the film, so it's more of how he intended it. So yeah, interested to see what the differences are. But the theatrical cut, at any rate, is a really great film. So we'll see what the director's cut's like. Next up, and again, Quentin Tarantino. I've been on a bit of a Quentin Tarantino buying binge recently, by the look of it. I'd forgotten that yeah, but 3 so far, and I've picked up 3 of his films. But Hateful Eight, one I've not seen yet. I didn't get a chance to see this in cinemas, so I'm looking forward to seeing this. I've heard mixed things about it, actually. I've heard people absolutely praise it, say it's his best film, and the friend who gave me the Batman Gotham Knights, he doesn't like it. He said it's one of Tarantino's worst. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I like the cast, and I like the sound of the concept. I like those kind of films where it's just a few people kind of trapped in a room and kind of dealing with stuff. So yeah, I look forward to seeing The Hateful Eight. Next up is Stakeland. Never seen this, but it's a vampire movie. It's got a ton of 5 and 4-star reviews over the front cover from fairly respectable papers and magazines, and it was really cheap. Again, on Blu-ray, $2.99. So, price of a rental. If I like it, I can keep it. If not, it's no big hardship to just pass it on. Next up is my favourite film of, well, depending on what release date you go off, either last year or this year, but let's assume it's the American release date, and it's my favourite film of last year, Room. Just amazing, absolutely amazing. From director Lenny Abrahamson, who I believe did Frank before this. Don't quote me on that, but I think he did. But it picked up an Oscar for Brie Larson, which I was really chuffed with. I was so glad she got the Oscar. I didn't think she'd get it just because of the people who were that she was up against. But yeah, she got it, and I'm really glad she did. Fantastic film that really delves into the psychological impact of what it would be like to be, well, to essentially live your entire life inside one little room, and then to come out of it and to see the wide world and what that would do to you. So yeah, brilliant. Another fantastic film from last year is Sicario. Again, one of my favourites. This made my top 10 when I did my top 10 of last year. Denis Villeneuve. I think it's his finest film actually so far. Really looking forward to his new one with Amy Adams. And I really liked Prisoners as well, and Enemy, to be honest. But so far of his films that I've seen, still a few I've not seen of his. But this is my favourite so far of his films. Next up is another Best Picture Oscar nominee, and that is Brooklyn. This was a real surprise when I saw this, because I'd heard nothing about it, and I kind of I went in blind, really. I just, it came out on the Friday, and I was like, Brooklyn, what's that? I just quickly went online to read a few reviews. It had some good reviews, and I like Saoirse Ronan, so I went in, and yeah, absolutely loved it. I gave it a 9 out of 10 in my original review for it, and I still stand by that. So yeah, really good film, cracking performance. Glad that it was nominated for the awards that it was. And finally, in the movies that I've got, it's Captain America Civil War. Still only seen this film once. It's one of my favourite films of this year so far. I think I would say that it was a better film than Batman v Superman, at least the theatrical cut at any rate, maybe not the ultimate cut, but I've only seen it once, whereas I saw the theatrical cut of Batman v Superman like 3 times in the cinema, 4 times in the cinema, or was it 5? I saw it a few times anyway, so yeah. That's a case of being able to recognise, I guess, that maybe the craftsmanship of one film is better than another, but your enjoyment level is higher on another. So, yeah, figure that one out. Finally, we've got just a couple of TV series that I picked up. I'm a big fan of Bates Motel. Really loved the first 2 seasons, and so I picked up the 3rd on Blu Ray. Really looking forward to seeing that. Vera Farmiga is absolutely fantastic in it. Gives a blinding performance in every episode. Humorous at the same time as being a little bit scary in many ways. And Freddie Highmore, who plays Norman Bates, is a perfect Norman Bates for me. He lives up to the role that was created by Anthony Perkins. I think if anyone, If anyone argued the case that he's better in the role than Anthony Perkins, I certainly wouldn't argue with it, despite how good I feel Anthony Perkins was in that original Psycho film. And then finally, we've got Gotham. I actually had the first season on DVD, but then I saw this box set, and it wasn't really that much more expensive to get this than it was to just buy season 2 on its own, so I thought, why not? I'll replace my season 1 box set with a Blu Ray copy. I liked season 1. I wouldn't say it was, out of this world, but it has a lot of potential. It really has a lot of potential. I like many of the elements in it. So I'm intrigued to see season 2. If the show keeps getting better, then eventually we'll have something quite special. We're not quite there yet. Certainly not based on the evidence of season 1, but I'm willing to see where this show goes, hence the season 1 and 2 box set. But yeah, there you go. That is everything I've picked up in the last few months, mostly through birthday presents and things that people have given me and whatnot. But yeah, thanks for watching this, and if you have any comments you'd like to leave about anything I've picked up, then please leave them down below. But until next time, thanks for watching.